Hey you guys, have you ever Googled photographer near me and realized your business is basically nowhere to be found? Or maybe you're showing up but it's not turning into actual inquiries and you're left wondering what you're missing? Today we're going to fix that. If you haven't met me before, I'm Lindsay, a photographer, educator, and someone who spent a lot of time figuring out to actually get consistent inquiries without relying on social media alone. In this video, I'm walking you through Google Business Profile Optimization for photographers. What actually matters, what to focus on, and how to make it work for you without feeling like you need a marketing degree to figure it out. Because here's the truth. Your Google Business Profile is one of the most powerful tools for local SEO in your photography business. It's often the first thing potential clients see before they ever click on your website. And when it's set up well, it can quietly work in the background, bringing the right people straight to you. And when it's not, it's like having a beautiful website that no one ever finds, which is not the goal. Now, this isn't just going to be a quick surface level overview. I'm actually going to take you behind the scenes, over my shoulder, and walk you through exactly how I set up things inside my own profile. And more importantly, I'll explain why I'm making each decision so you can start to see what makes sense for your photography business, your location, and your ideal client. So, whether you're brand new and still figuring out how to set up your Google Business Profile, or you've had one sitting there untouched for a while, I'm going to help you turn it into something that actually works for you. Simple, clear, and doable. Let's jump in.
The way I look at Google is the better we play Google's game, the better our results will be. Your Google profile is what I like to think of as the yellow pages of the internet. It has all of your basic information, and it's the first thing that people see when they look you up. A lot of times they see this even before they land on your website. So it's super important to show up strong on here. And something people don't often realize is that we control what goes on our Google profile. The photos, the business details, website links, and even posts are all up to us. But to potential clients, it doesn't look like something we've crafted. It looks like Google is presenting neutral, objective information about our business. And that's a huge advantage when someone searches for a photographer and sees a fully optimized profile complete with photos, great reviews, and up-to-date info. It doesn't feel like an ad. It feels like Google is saying, hey, this is a reputable business, and that credibility matters. Your Google profile is often the first impression potential clients get even before they land on your website. And if your profile is missing key details or has outdated info, it looks sloppy. And you really don't want to look sloppy to potential clients who are doing their research on Google. When it's filled out, it builds trust instantly. So what I wanted to do was show you the difference because visuals are so helpful. So here's a side-by-side example. This is my Google profile versus a business that hasn't set theirs up yet. This isn't a photographer. It's like I think it's a wedding invitation company on the East Coast. But their listing is missing key photos, key info. Like the photos don't make sense, and it actually says add missing info. So that just doesn't look great. And Google is literally just guessing and filling in the gaps, and it just looks sketchy and even just doesn't show up well. Like they have a photo of a car. So over here, you see my business profile, and it's all filled out, and looks professional. I do want to point out that because Google profile is the same as Google Maps, you are always going to have a photo of the location and the actual map. Google profile also provides insights and analytics, and I just want to show you what that looks like. Every month, I get an email from Google profile with a report of interactions. So basically, it just shows you how many people viewed your profile, and then from that, how many people clicked onto my website. What's cool is you're not paying for your profile, so any website clicks I get off of this are free. And it's really helpful that they send me this report, and you can click through and see a full report that has more detailed information. I wanted to show you that they provide this, and it's really just a goldmine. I'm going to go over to my Google profile, and we're going to go through step by step. But I really feel like these are like the 4 areas that you just want to concentrate on. You want to make sure that all of your info, all of the basic info is filled out, that you have your reviews, and I spoke about that in the last video. But what's really cool about the Google profile is that you can, so when you get a review, they send you an email notification, and right in that email notification, there's a button that you can click through and respond to the review. And I highly recommend doing that because it just shows that you are available, active, present, and communicating with your clients. So it just looks good to respond to the reviews. I'm going to talk about this, including images with your name as in close proximity as possible. It's a little trick I do. And of course, definitely include links. So I just wanted to take a minute here and talk about the people who are searching for you on Google. A great client is an educated client, and someone who researches you before reaching out is more likely to be like a dream client, an ideal client, because they already know what you offer, they like your work, and they're willing to invest. And here's the thing, when we're charging higher prices for our photography, we have to show up in a way that reflects that level of professionalism. Clients who are investing in high-end photography want to know that we're established, reputable, and easy to find. That's super important. They don't want to feel like they're taking a gamble on someone who might not be responsive or reliable. So your Google profile plays a huge role in this. It reassures potential clients that you're a real business, not someone hiding behind a vague social media page. It tells them that you're professional and not a hobbyist, that you're easy to contact, that you're visible and available. When your profile is fully optimized with accurate contact info, professional images, up-to-date details, and even posts about your latest offerings, it reinforces trust. It tells clients, I run a legitimate business, I'm here to serve you, and you can reach me when you need to. Some, if not all, of my best clients have found me through Google. They've seen my pricing, they know my style, and when they inquire, they're ready to book. That shift from hustling for clients through referrals and social media and discounts to having people seek you out is a game changer. I can't emphasize this enough. So I wrote out this 12 steps to complete your Google profile here. We're going to hop over to my Google profile, and I felt like it would be easier to show you each of these rather than just read them here. So something I need to highlight is I'm signed into Google right now. This is my Google profile, and this is basically what it looks like. But if I wasn't signed into Google and I Googled myself, it would show up a little bit differently. But because I'm signed in, I can edit everything, and that's what we're going to do. The first thing I want to talk about before we even go in and start dialing things in is getting verified. It's so important to do this. In fact, over the last couple of years, Google has made some core updates. I think with introduction of AI and all of that, they were doing a lot more updating than usual. And in doing this, I was noticing just a lot of chatter about photographers having their Google profile shut down. And I think the reason that this was happening, or what I was hearing when people were getting re-verified, is that they didn't have an address that Google liked for the verification. And what I mean by this is they were providing like a PO box, or they had provided a PO box, or maybe one of those shared workplaces. And when Google was doing all these core updates, they were discovering this. And so they were coming down hard on actually having a verifiable address. So I can't emphasize this point enough. Like, you need to, when you get verified, provide a true address. And what this is probably going to be is actually your home address. Unless you have a studio that you work out of, your home address is probably what you're going to have to provide. So the way you do this is Google will mail you a postcard with a unique code, and it arrives in about a week, sometimes 2 weeks, hopefully just a week. You get that postcard, so you have to watch for it in your mailbox, and you log into your Google business profile and enter the code, and then boom, you're verified. And this is where it shows up, like on your Google profile, that little blue check mark. So I want to emphasize again, do not use a PO box or a shared workspace address. Even though Google has your address, I'll show you in just a minute, there's an area that you can check so it doesn't show up on your Google profile, it just has the area served. Okay, so let's dive into actually setting this up. So first, we just start right here, and you edit your profile information. You have your business name, your business category, your description. For your description, I highly recommend going on your website and pulling verbiage that's already on your website, so your messaging stays clear and consistent. So when someone clicks through from your profile to your website, it feels like they're in the right place. You have the opening date, we have your contact phone number, and this is my Google Voice number, the one that I was talking about on the previous video. I do have a secondary number listed here. That one doesn't show up, but I just wanted it there in case like anything was wrong. I wanted to provide an easy way for Google to get in contact with me. Okay, this is an interesting area. You can provide like a chat button, and you can do it through WhatsApp, or you could do it through text message. And I think this is really cool. I'm going to tell you why I choose not to do this. So my whole strategy with Google is I am sending people to my website. I want them to go to my website. I want them to see my style, and then I want them to see my pricing, and then I want them to contact me. My website acts as a vetting process, and the contact form that I have on my website links directly to my client relations management tool, which is HoneyBook. And for me, I am just all about efficiency. I like that people contact me and it goes into that and it creates a little file for them. It's just my style. I don't want people texting me. I don't really like getting DMs. I like everything being funneled through to HoneyBook because it's just compartmentalized that way. So I choose not to include this on my Google profile, but you need to think through your process and what works for you. If you like being contacted by people through text, then by all means, this is such a great tool to have. Okay, website. I suggest putting a link to your homepage here and like actually going on your website and pulling the link, like copying it and pasting it so that you ensure there's no spelling errors or whatever. Same with the social profiles, whichever ones you choose to link here, make sure you just pull the URL by copying and pasting it. And this is fun. Make sure that you put profiles that you're active on and present on. Don't put like if you're not on LinkedIn, don't put LinkedIn, just the ones that you want people to actually click through to. Another strategy, which I've been thinking more about, is not having links to my social profiles and just having my website, because that's really what I want them to go to. I don't necessarily want them to go to Instagram and then get caught in that rabbit hole. So that's another thought process. But also having those links shows that you're active, and it's so common nowadays. Luckily, the links don't show up big, so I think it's okay to have them. But I just wanted to talk that through so you can think about what works for you. Okay, so business location and areas served. Okay, so this is the area that you can click so that your address doesn't show. So if I clicked this on, it would have my address show, but since I have it not selected, my address doesn't show, and then it just shows my service area. So for service area, I would just choose the area that's like the biggest description of the area you serve. These are all neighborhoods that are close to me, but I want Austin to show because I just want to show up bigger than just one neighborhood. That's why I choose this. Okay, business hours, even though we are photographers and we technically don't have like specific business hours, we're not a storefront, I highly suggest filling this out because again, it just goes with that whole idea of being reputable, present, open. It just looks good. So I would suggest just having hours listed. And after the hours, this is where it gets a little bit like, I don't think it's as important to fill this stuff out. I'll leave it up to you. If it's pertinent to your business, then you would. Special hours, add more hours. This just goes into like identifies as, and if that feels good to you, you can do that. Crowd, planning, like appointment required. That just gets a little bit more specific, and I don't think it's as imperative to fill out this last part, basically where it says more and on. Okay, this is where you can respond to reviews. So if you have some Google reviews that you haven't responded to, I highly suggest going in here and responding. When you see pictures, I did not put those pictures in. People that reviewed me added pictures, so that's a neat feature. Let's see. So you can actually click unreplied and see which ones you haven't replied to. Photos. This is pretty straightforward. My advice when you're adding photos is make sure they are updated. If you have any old photos that don't really represent your work anymore, make sure and take them out. And I would say in this section, try to think about that landing page optimization guide I gave you in that first exercise where you have 3 words that describe your photography, and any photo that you put in here, make sure like those 3 words apply to that photo. So you're showing up consistently, and also try to choose photos that maybe stand out a little bit, that are a little bit different. Like down here, I have this one and it's just a different angle. I try to have all the colors in these photos pretty bright and bold because that's my editing style. So just think through the photos that you put in there. This is performance. This is that performance report that you get when I talked about the email that they send. Don't click on advertise because I'm going to show you all about your Google ad. Don't go there yet. Okay, this is probably my favorite part of the Google profile. So you can list all your products. And the way that I do this is each area of photography that I offer, I create a product listing for that. And basically you have the product name, you have a product category that you can create. You create the product category. I do not list my price. And the reason I don't list my price is because, again, I want people going to my website. I want them to feel a connection with me, to engage a little bit more, see more of my photos, and then see my pricing. Pricing is not something I'm using to sell my services because I am on the higher price side. It's more like I want them to just go to my website first. So I don't list pricing here. Product description, again, make sure this matches what is on your website. So just copy and paste pertinent info. Make sure it makes sense to put it here. And you have a lot of room. You have up to 1,000, I don't know if it's characters or words, but it's a good amount of room for your product description. And then you have a link through directly to that product page. So I have them landing on this on my senior photography portfolio. Something else I wanted to highlight really quick, and I hinted at this in that slide when we were going through the different slides about having your name associated closely with your photos. So it's a really good habit to, anytime you write anything, like here is a senior photography, then I write this little pipe, and then I write my business name, Lindsay Herkert Photo Company. I do this with my blog titles. I even do it when I'm communicating with clients, especially when I'm responding for the first time. I say senior photo information pipe, and then I write Lindsay Hergert Photo Company, because maybe they've reached out to a few photographers and I want my name reinforced all the time. So this is one way that I do that, to try to get in that habit of just constantly, especially if it's something that's showing up on Google and it has a photo associated with it, make sure that your name is connected. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, the other strategy. Okay, I have two more strategies to talk about with products. So the first thing I do is list all of my types of photography that I offer. Then, if you wanted to, say you offer different types of mini sessions throughout the year. Like, for example, I offer in the fall, like a holiday VW bus setup. I could also have that listed in here, just under the description. Probably the first thing I would say is available in November. Or if I always did Easter photos, I would create like a little product description there. Even though they're seasonal, it's still cool to put them here because you're letting people know these are the different offerings that I offer. Now, if they are mini sessions, if these like different types of photography that you offer are mini sessions, like maybe motherhood mini sessions or personality portraits, things like that, think through if you want to use the word mini session, because mini session is often associated with affordable photography or less expensive photography. And this is just my personal preference, but when I am advertising on Google, my whole strategy is I want to attract clients who are willing to pay higher prices. So I don't ever use the word mini session because I don't want to attract those clients. But I think it's fun to advertise the different type of mini sessions I offer. I just don't say mini session. I might say a small session. Like I do small spring sessions, but they're not technically mini sessions. So that's just something to think through. Okay. The other area that's really cool, if you offer product or your like print products with your photography packages, you can create sections for print products here. You can advertise whatever print products that you offer. And it's a really good way for people to know right off the bat that you offer products. It differentiates you a little bit more. It also helps you show up like super professionally. So if you do offer print products, this is the place to say it. But I think that's it for products. And they show up right here. I think it's one of the neatest features. And then the categories of the print product show up here. So it just reinforces more that you are professional and reputable. Okay, so services. Services, I would also highly suggest filling out. But services don't have a photo attached to it. It's just, and it's a lot less characters right here. You see it's just 300. So I actually just went in, copy and pasted what I have written on my pricing page. It's really straightforward. It's not flowery. Again, I don't put the pricing up here. That is completely up to you. But I would, even though I don't have the pricing, I would highly suggest filling these out because it's just more links and it just reinforces who you are on Google. And I think I just did one per type of photography I offer, but technically I could go in and have even more, like natural light photographer. I could say something about my family photographer here. I'm thinking it's probably good to have as many of these filled out as you possibly can, even though it's repetitive. You know, people search in different ways for the products that you offer. So for my branding photography, I could probably add it right here. Same with this, I could add my extended photography. For example, when you copy or have your verbiage for family photography, just go through and see each one that it could apply to and just put it in there. Bookings. So this is where I have my actual link to my contact page on my website. Remember earlier I was talking about how my contact page links through to HoneyBook? I did put it here because this brings them to my website. And I think that's a neat feature that Google Profile offers. Question and answer. This is just an area, you don't have to do anything with it, but there's an area that people can ask questions right here. And then that would be where I would respond. Updates. This is also one of my favorite areas of the Google Profile. If you're offering mini sessions or you have a special offer for spring or fall, you could put it here. Even if it's just seasonal and not like mini session specific, I would definitely put something here through the different seasons. Like right now it's February and I'm about to start spring sessions. So I just have a couple updates about spring sessions. And then I also do a lot of headshots in January and February. So I have that up. So I would say anytime the seasons change, I would do an update here. And a good trigger would be like anytime you fill out your state tax info, use that as a trigger to go make sure your updates are up to date. That is the trickiest part about this. You do not want fall advertisement, like fall photo session advertisement here. You could have a constant newborn update here or advertisement here, but just make sure you don't have out of date advertisements and do whatever works for you to make sure to remind yourself to update this. And this is where we get the link to ask for a review. Just copy and paste, very easy. So I think that brings us through everything on here. The last thing I wanted to talk about quickly, a really good exercise to do if you haven't already done it, is to just Google your company. So do that and see, don't pay attention so much to your Google profile, but come over here and look at what website you're showing up on. And if you can do this in a way that you're not signed into Google, if you have somebody else in your family has a Google account and you can sign into their account and research yourself, then you'll get more objective results. And that's really what you want. But when you are looking, I want you to first to make sure that the websites you're showing up on are good websites to be on. And if there's a website you don't want to show up on, try to reach out to them and have them take you off. And then the websites that you are showing up on, if you have control over that website, like Facebook, I do have control over, try to put it so that your first name shows up first in the description. It's just powerful and reinforcing. I forget where I learned this, but I learned it a few years ago. And it's basically, especially anytime there's a photo associated with you, it really helps to have your company name showing up as the first part. So like a good example would be YouTube. I should probably go into YouTube and update the description so it reads a little more actively, and Lindsay Herkert Photo Company is like the very first words that are written on there. And then my other suggestion is if you're showing up on websites and it has out-of-date information, it would be a good idea to reach out to them and make sure it's up to date. This is a really good example. I have reached out to Yelp so many times and said it's Lindsay Herkert Photo Company, and it even says updated. It's not updated. It's like they just won't update it. I don't know. So I would just go through and just look at what's showing up and see if you can clean it up a little bit or update anything. It's just a good exercise to do every once in a while.
Okay, you guys, I hope that was helpful and gave you a clearer picture of what actually matters when it comes to your Google business profile. Because when this is set up well, it's not just another thing to maintain, it becomes a really powerful part of your marketing that's working for you in the background. And this is what I mean when I talk about intent-based marketing. It's simply focusing on showing up in the places where people are already searching for a photographer, where the intent is already there. Instead of trying to convince someone to want photos while they're scrolling, you're meeting them at the moment they're already looking. And those tend to be the clients who are more ready to book, more aligned with what you offer, and honestly just easier to work with. So if this is something you want to go deeper into, I do have a free class linked below where I walk you through how to start bringing in consistent quality inquiries without relying on social media, and how all of this fits together in your photography business. It's a really helpful next step if you're ready to start seeing this actually work. And if this video helped you or gave you a new way to think about your Google business profile, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. I am so glad you're here. Thanks, you guys. See you in the next one.